A social media post, some of you saw it, that John Kessler, he is a 1987 tobacco world champion tobacco auctioneer. He's also a Kentucky state champion, Kentucky Auctioneer Association auctioneer, champion, and champion of champions champion too, aren't you? He's won them all. John's a good guy. They got a good auction company over in Campbellsville. They're friends of ours. We work with them. We get deals over that way, and they send things our way. Need to turn it up a little bit. Hey, Timmy, you turn both these up a little bit. But he's going to do a little bit about the tobacco chant and the auctioneer and give you a little history about that. All right, then, $85, $85, better run, chant, $85, $85, better sing it, $7, $8, better $9, $90, better walk it mile, and $90, better $1, $2, better $3, $4, $5, better $95, $5, better export, and $95, $5, better sing it, $7, $8, better $9, $99, $2, better $1, now $2, better $3, $4, $5, better $2, $5, better sold American. How y'all doing this evening? I tell you what, I'm glad my friend Steve Barr invited me to come over here. I tell you what, you all are very fortunate in this area. You've got one of the best auctioneers and one of the best auction companies in this area right here, my friend Steve Barr. We've done a lot of things together. We've known each other for a long time. And I tell you what, he's really recognized throughout the auction industry as being one of the top-notch ones that there is around. Certainly a pleasure for me to be here, as Steve said. In 1987, I was a whole lot younger than I am now, but in 1987, when I was 24 years old, I had the opportunity to become the youngest person to win the World Tobacco Auctioneering Championship. And R.J. Reynolds did that through their Pride in Tobacco program. And it was that contest was one of the truest auction contests that I have ever seen or ever been in. And that was held in Danville, Virginia. And that's the place where the first tobacco auction was held way back in 1858. And so it was truly an honor in front of 50,000 people there that night to win that championship. I had only been married to my wife about 4 months at that time, and that was we just kind of had a honeymoon whirlbird right there all the way around. So tobacco auctions is a little bit different than any other type of auction. These are my assistants right here. My twin grandsons, they traveled down with us this evening. But tobacco auctions is completely different than what anything else was. Now, 20 years ago, this past spring, I sold the last tobacco auction that I sold in the state of Kentucky. And when I was working in Kentucky, of course, I live at Campbellsville. I sold tobacco on markets in Lebanon and Springfield, Kentucky, which was real close by. And then later at Shelbyville, Kentucky. And that was the markets that I primarily worked. And then I sold tobacco in the Fluke-Cured. I worked in Conway and Mullins, South Carolina, Darlington, Timmonsville, sold tobacco in Vidalia, Georgia, Roxborough, North Carolina, and several other places filled in from time to time. But tobacco auctions was completely different than any other type of auction, especially from the auctioneer standpoint. The auctioneer's chant, most auctions, whenever Steve's out here selling something, he's asking $25, will you give $30? $30, will you give $35? Tobacco auctioneers only cried the bid that they had. And that's why it created the speed that it had. My job as an auctioneer was to get the farmer every dollar that I possibly could whenever I sold his crop, because as here in the Burley, that whole crop may have been sold on one sale. In the Fluke-Cured, it was scattered out over a period of time. But my job was to get the farmer every dollar that he possibly could. And so we did that by creating a little excitement into the sale. We used a lot of sling names for buyers. For instance, R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company, we would knock their tobacco sometimes Reynolds. Other times we'd knock it Run John or Run John Run for the RJR. Back from the Lucky Strike days, American Tobacco Company, sometimes we'd say Sold American or LSMFT. Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. And Export, Taylor, different things that we use to call out the buyer's name. We would sell a pile or one lot of tobacco every 3 to 5 seconds. And we did that all day long. And so the auction process on one side of the row, for those of you that never was at a tobacco auction, on one side of the row was made up of those people that were mainly representing the farmer. The first person in line would be a warehouseman representing the warehouse where you were selling at, and his job was to do an appraisal of what he thought that pile of tobacco was worth, and that's where he started it at. So, for instance, he may say $1.80. The next person in line was the auctioneer, and my chant would pick up at that $1.80 and either go up or down depending on what the buyers were bidding. Behind the auctioneer sometimes would be another representative of the warehouse, and behind that person would be someone picking up the tickets and handing them to the ticket marker. The ticket marker's job was to record what that price of the pile of tobacco was, and then he would use a symbol for what company had bought that pile of tobacco. And then after that pile of tobacco had been sold, he would listen for the buyer to call out a grade. So for instance, that pile of tobacco may have sold at $1.80 to RJ Reynolds, so he's going to put $1.80 and an R on there, and then I'm already selling on the next pile when he hears that grade, 44X. So a good ticket marker could keep 3 piles, 1 on his board and 3 in his head. 1 on the board and 3 in the head. That's how they ran along. So on the other side of the road were the tobacco buyers. And they were looking at the tobacco. Some of them felt of every pile of it for moisture content or other things, and they bid according. So if the auctioneer started his chain at $1.80 and a buyer wanted to bid $1.80, he would do this. If he wanted to bid 79, 8, 77, 76, 75, 74, 73, 72, 71, 70. Same way going back up, 81, 2, 3, 4, 5, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90. So it was my job as an auctioneer to listen to this warehouseman, watch my ticket marker, and the most buyers I think I ever had in a sale was 13. And watch 13 buyers. And so it sounded a little bit like this in slow motion. 81, $1 bin, $1.81, $1 bin, now run chant, $1 bin, $1.81, 1, 2, 2, 82, 2, 2, 82, $1 bin, 3, 83, $1 bin export, and now $1.83, $3, bin, 3 American, and now $1.83, now 4, $4, bin, 5, 85, $5 bin, walking mile. Regular speed, it sounded like this. $80 bill now, $1.81, $1 bit of run chant, $1.82, $2 bit 3, 4, $5 bit 85, $5 American, $1 bit $1.85, $5 bit 5 export, $85 bit of singing, $7, $8 bit of 9 now, $90 bit of walking mile, and now $90 bit of 1, 2, 3, 4, $5 bit of 95, $5 bit of 5 RJ round, $1 bit of 95, $5 bit of $5 bit export, and now $1.95 singing, $7, $8 bit of 9, $2 bit of 1, 1, now $201, $1 bit of sold RJ round.
Thank you, John. We appreciate you being here. And that's a lot of people have never heard that. You know, I've only been to a tobacco warehouse a couple of times in my life, and it was neat to hear that again. We thank you for being here. Let's give him a hand again, folks. Thank you, guys.